Hello everyone. So this is 2025 English Literature optional paper discussion. This is paper 1 and this is part 1 of the video, and today we are going to discuss section A, question number 1. So this is the question paper. Wait, I'm showing you. Okay, so yeah, this is the question paper, and I'm going to read out the instructions because instructions are very necessary, and sometimes we tend to confuse of what it is written. So there are 8 questions divided in 2 sections. Okay, there are 8 questions. Yes, and 2 sections, section B and this is section A. Okay, so it says candidate has to attempt 5 questions in all, and question number 1 and 5 are compulsory, and out of the remaining 3 are to be attempted, choosing at least one from each section. So what does it mean? It means that section A, question number 1 is compulsory, and question number 5 of section B is compulsory. Okay, we've already discussed. You can check out the video of the unseen poems and how you have to attempt the questions. So question number 1 and question number 5 are compulsory, and rest of the questions, remaining questions are question number 2, question number 3, question number 4, and question number 6, 7, and 8. So how you have to choose the questions? Let's suppose you have to answer total 5 questions. It says you have to attempt total 5 questions in all. Okay. So question number 1 and question number 5 you have already attempted because they were compulsory. So now it says you have to attempt 3 more questions from sections, and you have to choose at least one from each section. So let's suppose you have chosen 2 and you have chosen 3. You can also choose 2 and 4, 3 and 4. So likewise, whichever you feel comfortable in. So let's suppose you have chosen 2 and 3. So you have attempted 2 and question number 3 also. Okay, so in total, you have answered 1, 2, and 3 and 4. So 4 questions you have attempted. Now you have to choose. You cannot choose now. You cannot choose 4 because you've already attempted 2 and 3. And the section B, you have not touched any other question apart from the compulsory one. So you have to attempt one from this section also. Let's suppose you choose 6, or let's suppose you have chosen 7 or 8, any. Okay, let's suppose you have chosen 8. So you choose 8. Okay, so in total you have answered 5 questions, and you have also answered the compulsory questions, and you have also chosen questions from each section, and this is from section A and this is from section B. So you have attempted all the questions which were as per the directions of the exam, and this is how you have to attempt. So you can also mix and match and choose, like you have if you choose 2 and 3 from this section, or 2 and 4 from this section, or 3 or 4 from this section, or you can also choose 6 and 7, 2 questions from this section and 1 question from this section. Anyway, whichever you feel comfortable in, you can choose and write. And what it says, the number of marks carried by the question or part is indicated against it. So there are different questions of different marks. It is 5 questions of 10 marks. 2 pages are given, 2 pages in sense one sheet, and 2 sides of the sheet in 10 marker, and there are 4 and 3 pages. I'm not clearly available with information. I think, as per my memory of my mains, I think 3 or 4 pages are there in 20 marker. 4 pages, I suppose, and 15 marker 3 pages, or 3 sheets, like 1, 2, and 3 sides of the sheet for the 15 marker. And you can also check out how many papers, how many sheets are there in the UPSC website. They have given a question answer booklet, and you can always see how many pages are there, how many sheets are available for a particular question. So it is in that way. So question of 20 marks and 15 marks and 15 marks, again 20, 15, 15. So it is equal division of the marks, so you don't have to worry about if you're answering any question. So you don't have to think that you're answering a question of less mark or more mark, because the questions and the numbers against the questions are equally divided into, in whichever section you choose, you're ultimately writing for 300 marks. Okay, so also what it says, answer must be written in English, obviously, because it is English literature paper, and the word limit in questions, whether specified, should be adhered to. And it also say you do not have to write more than, let's suppose, 150 words. Okay, this is a thing. And also it says, attempts of the question shall be counted in sequential order unless struck off. Attempt of a question shall be counted even if attempted partly. Any page or a portion of the page left blank in the question come answer booklet must be clearly struck off. So what it says, you have to attempt all the questions in a sequential order. So let's suppose you are answering section A. So how is it there in the answer booklet? You have the answer booklet, you have already been printed the questions. So questions are being printed on the front of the on the top of the question answer booklet, and you just have to fill the answer. So if you have answered one and you have to answer two and three, then it is like it is sequential order, and then you have to answer five, and then you have to answer, let's suppose you have chosen eight, then you have to answer eight, okay, in that order. You can't cut a question if you have written some answer into some other question. You cannot like swap it. You cannot write that write like you have mistakenly written the answer of this particular question into the next one, because that will not be counted. So if you are making a mistake, let's suppose you have written section let's suppose you have written the answer of A into B by mistake, okay, let's suppose. So you cannot like stuck off and say the answer of this is there in B. Let it be whatever it has been written there. Just if A has been written in B, do not do not write all these things that you have mistakenly done all this. Just let be, uh, let the B question number has gone, no marks will be awarded for it. And you can always but you can correct it, like answer A in A only. Do not do swap like A in B and B in A. Don't do like that. If you have written mistakenly in some other question, answer the correct question in the correct place, okay, so that will be awarded, but the mistake will not be awarded. And nothing written above and extra of what the question has been asked will be corrected or given marks. So that is the thing. So all these things. And it also says the pages which are left blank has to be struck off. So I had some questions I had struck off, some pages I had struck off, but there are so many pages in the optional paper, so it is not very much compulsory that you have to strike off all the pages. But if you have time, you can always struck off. It is mentioned in the question, and you have to do that. So we'll start today with section A and question number one. So it is simple. In the syllabus, it has been mentioned some of the literary movements or the literary advancements of English literature. The Renaissance has been one most of the important thing. Also, there have been Elizabethan and Jacobean drama. So when you check out the syllabus, there is section A, part one of the syllabus, and I don't think so. Section have been written there, but there is history of English literature section of part one of the syllabus. There are these topics mentioned there, so you can always check out the syllabus. I'll be providing the link. So we have Renaissance, we have Elizabethan Jacobean drama, we have characteristics of metaphysical poetry, satire on mock epic, and factors contribute. Okay, this is the novel, emergence of novel in 18th century. So we'll discuss one each question and how we have to answer. Because it is 150 words, we have two sides of the sheet, and you have to write very crisp answers. You just have to write what is being asked. Do not create um do not create an atmosphere of writing and then start writing. And you don't have to write what is not asked or what is not necessary in the question, because it is 150 marks, 150 words, and you have to write exactly what it is being asked. So if it is asking major literary developments of the Renaissance, don't start writing how the Renaissance had developed, how the Renaissance reached England, or how Renaissance had been affecting other countries. Don't write that. Just write the major literary developments of Renaissance. That's it. The more accurate and more apt you'll be writing, the more marks will be awarded to you, because it shows that you have understood the question. You're not beating around the bush, or you have an understanding of the question and you know what to write, okay. So that shows a maturity of the answer. So write whatever is being asked in the paper. You don't have to like show off your analytical skills, or you don't have to show off your knowledge of how much you know. So it is better to write whatever is being asked. So as we know, so Renaissance was a movement of of European literature, we can say, not English literature. And it moved, the Renaissance had effects in various themes of in religion, in humanism, in literature. And it embraced a more human centric worldview. So major literary developments, if we talk about, as is the rise of vernacular, because the Renaissance authors began writing in the native language, or the native vernacular language, as we know. And Also, there was focus on humanism and individualism. Characters had become more nuanced with personal identity and ambition as central themes. And this was a stark contrast with the medieval focus of man's placed with the divine and rigid hierarchy. Also, there was a rediscovery of classical antiquity, because Renaissance writers drew heavily on the works of ancient Greek and Roman authors. So there was a revived classical genres themes, and this was also evident in the works of Shakespeare. So there was also printing press also, we can mention. So printing press had it made the books more affordable and widely available. So the sonnets was also a very important literary development or literary invention, you would say. And Shakespeare's sonnets are immortal, the immortal sonnets. Also, we have drama, the major literary development of Renaissance. How can we forget of the drama, and how the development of drama took place? And there were the major playwrights, we can mention William Shakespeare. There was Christopher Marlowe, and it also represents the Renaissance age was a golden age of drama. And plays, how the theme of the plays moved from religious allegories to complex explorations of human nature. You can also mention the examples of the Tempest, because it is there in the syllabus. And King Lear also you can mention. Then you can say, you can write also about the essays was also there. Essays, some of the works of of essays have also been important there, because it started as genre of exploring the personal thoughts and ideas. And although novel was not there, but like you can say how drama and all those led to the emergence of other literary forms also. So this is the major literary developments of the Renaissance age. Or I'm not giving particular examples of all the writers which have been there and mentioned in the syllabus, but you have to, like, I'm not pinpointing all those, but you have to mention William Shakespeare, or the all the writers of the Renaissance age. Do one thing which is very important. Like, if you have not done it till now, you can just list out the Renaissance writers or the writers of the different ages which have been mentioned in the syllabus. So let's suppose you mention Renaissance and all the writers which have been mentioned in the syllabus of the Renaissance age. Then you have Victorian age, then you have Romantic age. List out all the writers and try to mention in anytime you are answering the question, try to mention these writers and the works which have been given in the syllabus in while answering the questions of section A, like question number 1. So what I'm saying, this, let's suppose this is Renaissance question. So when you're writing about the Renaissance age, always try to mention the works and the writers which have been mentioned in the syllabus. So if you're starting answer writing, you can do this, and then you will be well versed with the writers, so that you don't at least miss out those writers which have been mentioned in the syllabus. Okay. The next question is representation of the supernatural in Elizabethan and Jacobean drama. So, okay, supernatural was there in Elizabethan and Jacobean drama, and Jacobean drama, Elizabethan drama are there in the syllabus. It is an important topic. So, okay, Elizabethan and Jacobean drama, if we talk about it was like, okay, it incorporated the supernatural. Why did it incorporate it? To heighten the dramatic effect, okay, to explore philosophical, psychological, and moral aspects of reasoning. And it also was there to cater the supernatural beliefs of the audience. And you can also mention the works of Shakespeare. There was supernatural element in the Tempest, and there was nothing sort of that sort in King Lear, but at least in Tempest were there. Other works also you can mention of, like Hamlet was there and Macbeth. If you have read all these, you can mention all these. So, what are the characteristics of representation of supernatural in Elizabethan and Jacobean drama? So, how it was represented? So, you can mention the characteristics. Basically, it is asking about the characteristics of supernatural Elizabethan and Jacobean drama. So, what were the characteristics? There were ghosts, there were sylphs, there were salamanders, as we can mention the see in the Tempest. And there was prophecies and magic, and all these were to cater the human wants and human desires. So Okay, there was also the supernatural had also the influence of the folklore, because Sycorax was a folklore witch which was mentioned in the Tempest. And also it impacted the supernatural was basically to to guide the flow of the play. And it also impacted the structure and themes of the tragedies. Also, the supernatural served as an external force, um, and also a reflection of the character's inner turmoil and guilt. Because as we see in the Tempest, for example, so we see the supernatural, like this, the Ariel, how he was trapped, how he felt trapped. So this trapped feeling was also with Caliban, was also with um, Prospero and Miranda also. So this feeling was to reflect the character's inner turmoil and madness. Also, the plot advancement was very important for the, because supernatural, as we can, if you have read Macbeth, though it shows how the three witches had led to the plot development of Macbeth. And only because of the prophecy which the witches made, that had led to that had led Macbeth to kill the king of Scotland, I suppose. So this is how you can see how plot development was necessary, and how the supernatural had led to to the plot development and foreshadowing of many of the events of the play. Also, the nature of supernatural was also left sometimes ambiguous, because it shows that they were not real. Supernatural means something which is not in nature, not normal in nature. So in Tempest we can see Ariel was left ambiguous. In the situation of Ariel was left ambiguous, Caliban was also left ambiguous. We don't know what happened to them. We just know that Prospero and other shipmates and Miranda and all, they went back. But what happened of Ariel and what happened of Caliban, we don't know. So this shows that the reality of the supernatural. Also, there was also Junos and series of other supernatural, we would say, sylphs and salamanders. So the inclusion of supernatural elements provided opportunities for theatrical spectacle, because the drama was set in that in the Renaissance age. And there was a need for some special effects. So with these supernatural, they created an eerie atmosphere. So that is also the supernatural, the representation of the supernatural in Elizabethan Jacobean drama. So okay, Jacobean drama also you have to mention. So Jacobean dramas, you can mention the Duchess of Malfi. And next we have key characteristics to define metaphysical poetry. Okay, so this is simple question. It just asks about metaphysical poetry and the key characteristics of it. So you need to mention the works of John Donne. It is there. So as many examples you can give: John Donne, or Andrew Marvell, or other Christopher, no, Christopher Marlowe, not. I'm talking about Andrew Marvell and John Donne. So, what are the key characteristics? Metaphysical conceit was a key characteristic. You can just write one, two lines about these, mention a example, and that's it. So, key characteristics of metaphysics, because it is straight away question, you don't have to analyze a lot. I think 2024 paper was a little bit analytical in the first section. This time it has the paper is little bit simpler, I can say, because the questions in at least section A, question number one, are a little bit simple. I remember when 2024 paper I was writing that paper, I had not expected such amount of analysis, and the paper was good. But and I also saw there was a change in the pattern of asking questions. But in 2025 the pattern has been stuck to 2023 type, and it is a little bit simple, I would say. Like 2023 was a simpler one, and 2024 was little different. Again 2025 was simple. Let's see what happens in the next year. So metaphysical the key characteristics. First, we have mentioned the metaphysical conceit. We know what is a metaphysical conceit. Then we can also say argumentation. We can say, because in John Donne's poem, we see he argues like, what ships had my size drowned. So he mentions and he asks these questions to the world. Also, there are use of paradox and complex ideas. So so how used paradox was used to reflect the poet's desire to reconcile the physical world with the spiritual. So he says, we'll be canonized for love. So all these things, you have to analyze the poem in such a way that, so that you can quote these examples in the question, in the answer sheet. So because if you will not quote those writers which have been mentioned in the syllabus, your answer will be hollow, and also you'll not be awarded marks, because it will show that you have just read about the metaphysical poetry and you do not actually know how to link these. Because you have to mention John Donne. There are some questions. See, in question number 2, you have estimate John Donne as a metaphysical poet with reference to his poem prescribed. So there is a metaphysical question here, but here also you have to key characters of metaphysical poetry. You have to mention the works and the metaphysical characteristics of John Donne's poem here. Okay. So next characteristic is the use of direct language. He used direct languages, and simple colloquial language was used, which was different from the earlier ages. Also, there was, we can say, there was intense emotions and profound intellectual analysis also of how he talked about the seven sleepers den, how he had met the good morrow. In the good morrow, we have seen he says that we are one, and the statements are there, so you can quote some of the lines of the poem. Next, we have function of a satire in mock epic. So function, the satire is a topic there in paper 1. Also, mock epic is also an topic, and we have, it says functions of a satire and mock epic. So we have one mock epic there, the Rape of the Lock, and you have to mention the quotation. So you have to mention the example, whatever example you're giving, substantiate it with the examples from the Rape of the Lock. So okay, so first, if we start about the introduction, so mock epic, the satire functions as like giving a serious formal style of classical epics to make trivial or absurd subjects seem important. So this was satire. Satire is basically, it shows that the how how important things can be made trivial, or the trivial things are made so important. So this was epic and mock epic thing. So how it is being, what was the function of this satire? How the Rape of the Lock is a satire on the society. So the Belinda's locks are mentioned, and how the judges are so excited about the dinner, how to dine with, that they are hanging the wretches. And it is a critique in the society. So this function of the mock epic has to be enhanced in this answer. So what can we write about? um, so we'll quote Alexander's Pope, The Rape of the Lock, because it is a perfect example of how satire is used in a mock epic. And the poem also satirizes the vanity of, as we have seen in of Belinda, and idleness and superficiality of 18th century aristocratic society. The first function, how it serves. First, it elevates the trivial. So Pope, what does Pope do? He inflates a minor, uh, a social transgression into cosmic conflict. How at last it is shown that the lock has been transformed into a star, and into constellation. And how how trivial things are made important to such a level that it is affecting the entire society. So this deliberate overstatement highlights how ridiculous the aristocracy's concerns are, and the loss of the lock of the hair, it becomes a matter of honor and a family feud and causes the divine intervention. So this is how it is satiring the society. Also, he also, the function is parodying the epic convention. See, it parodies the epic convention. So like in epic there is, so epic, the example of the epic is Paradise Lost. So this, the epic on one side and the mock epic on the other side, so how it is parodied. So in epic we see there are characters like God is a character there in Paradise Lost. We have Adam and Eve, and Satan is a characteristic characters there. But here we have the hero is who is the hero and who is the heroine, and what are the characteristics of the heroine in mock epic, in the Reap of the Lock. Belinda is there and Lord Peter is there. So how the things are moving ahead is very parody against the epic. So, and we can also see how the heroine or the hero are depicted. So the qualities of the hero has to be, he has to be strong, and he has to be morally upright. And but here the Belinda is the hero of the poem, we can say. Like, typically Belinda, the entire Reap of the Lock is concentrated on the on the heroine, basically, who is the hero, I would say, like in that way. So okay, so she's the hero of the poem, and but her heroic qualities are based on her beauty. So how beautiful she is, how beautiful her lock is, that is more important than her actual moral or psychological construct. Her armor is her petticoat, and her weapons are cosmetics and beauty rituals. So this is what a parody of the epic. There is also supernatural machinery. The supernatural machinery um, was a witty replacement for the divine intervention in the epics. So like we have seen, God is intervening there. Here the supernatural elements, the sylphs and the salamanders are intervening in the mock epic. Their epic battles also, like like the final confrontation of the Reap of the Lock, and how the lock turns into a constellation, and how the card of the card game, how it is described as a great battle and a matter of self respect, and all these things, which are shown, like how hollow society is. And the works are shown as intense dramatic intensity of the real life combat scene. Also, it functions as a social critique, obviously, because the poem suggests that the aristocracy has lost all sense of perspective, and they are more concerned with the fleeting physical attribute than with the genuine virtue or intellect. So the outrage over the stolen lock, it reveals that a society where outward appearance and reputation hold more weight than the substance or the inner construct of the person. So this is the function of satire and mock epic. So the last question is factors contributed to the emergence of novel as a literary form in 18th century. So this is a fairly easy question. You can answer. You will get you can get the factors contributed with the emergence of the novel as a literary form in 18th century in, like, when you'll make your notes. So it is one of the basic questions about 18th century and how the emergence of the novel had taken place. So this is a fairly easy question. You can answer this. You can send me your answers in there is my email ID, which is provided in the description box. You can send me your answers. Try answering these questions because it is simpler questions than the previous year. So try answering these questions. We'll be discussing other questions, all the questions 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 5 we have discussed. 6, 7, and 8, all the questions will be discussed and how you have to attempt the questions. So I have just explained some of the things which what will be the content of the answers. You have to arrange these and you have to present uh, an answer which is crisp, which has a good introduction in the sense it introduces your answer. It does not creates an atmosphere of answering the answer, but rather it is a direct answer to your to the question, and it shows that you're beginning to write the answer, and the conclusion has to be a concluding statement which says, which will be concluding your answer, and the on the whole, don't try to answer the question in the body part. Try to hit the question in the introduction part only, so that I can understand that you have an idea about what the question is asking. Okay, so try and answer these questions, try to rearrange whatever I have explained in the questions, and try to write answers of these questions. We'll be discussing the other questions in next part. So that's it for today. Thank you.